All right, welcome back to these hopefully short videos on C++. The first thing I wanted to mention is this is in the Loops Python notebook. The first thing is this is a good use of the do while. And so while true means it will keep running infinitely until it encounters a break. But this is input validation. So if you have a variable, let's say input, which is an int type, and you're asking for a number between 1 and 20, you can have if conditions to check to see if it fails for some reason. So if cin.fail means that somehow it failed, the wrong type of value was entered. So they entered a letter or they entered a string. And then you can clear the error flag, and that's part of cin, and you can ignore any of the up to the integer maximum, which is 2 billion, some number, or new lines. And then you can output invalid input, try again, and then continue. And continue will just basically not execute the rest of it, and we'll go back up here. And since while true will always be true, it will enter this do loop again. Ask for a number, it will check. So if it fails for some reason, then it will do this again. Otherwise, it checks to see, because otherwise they entered an integer. It checks to see if the value is less than 1 or greater than 20. If it is, then you output that it must be a whole number between 1 and 20. Otherwise, break or just continue on doing something else. And so you can have code after that, which actually handles it based off of that. So once they enter this do loop, this do while loop, they have to enter a number between 1 and 20 until it will continue on executing the rest of the code. But the thing I wanted to talk about now is let's create a table, a multiplication table. So it's been quite a number of years since I had to memorize my multiplication tables, but as a kid, we would always have to fill out this table. And it was always such a pain to remember all the different multiples of, well, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, so on and so forth, especially when you get up to this upper area. It just kind of became a pain. So because I'm a computer scientist and I'm older, I can write a program to do this. So let me go ahead and create a new file, and I'll name this multiplication.cpp. And I'm going to go ahead and copy over the make file from another one, put it in here, and I will name this multiply and multiplication. All right, so I save my make file and I have my multiplication, so I do this again. And date. And what day? We're still on the 28th. Ask for input how big to make a multiplication table, and print table. All right. So, like before, include IO stream. Since we're going to be outputting to the screen, we need to include this using namespace std int main return 0. All right, so we have our initial program. So let's go ahead, and I'm not going to worry about asking the input for how big yet. I want to just start to output some information. So let's go ahead and well, print out the numbers. So let's see, we can easily write a function for this, which will multiply two numbers. We can also just multiply the numbers, and let's write a function. Functions are fun. Int multiply, and then we need two numbers. And we're going to just deal with ints because they're easy. Num1, int num2. And then return num1 times num2. Simple function, you just call it, it will return the two numbers, or will return the multiplication of two numbers. And so now we need to actually print stuff out. So we could say cout Let's see. We'll do multiply 1, comma 1. Copy this. Put a space. And actually what we might do is tab. No, actually tab won't work. We'll just do a space. Do 1, comma 2. And I'm just going to do 3. 1, comma 3. And then end line. So now if we run this, all right, so we'll get 1, 2, and 3. So now if we want to make a table, typically tables are 12 by 12, we would have to do this for all 12 by 12 options. We'd have to have 12 sections here, and then we'd have to have 12 lines. Well, we know by now that that's a pain and prone to errors. So now we can write a for loop. So let me go ahead and comment this out so we have an idea of what it should kind of look like. Let's do for int I equals, let's start with 1. I is less than or equal to 12, I plus plus. All right, so now all we need to do is cout and do the same thing. Multiply I, well, actually, we probably want to start from 1 to I. Multiply, I misspelled multiply. Multiply 1, comma, I plus 1. Yeah, is that going to work? So it'll work for the first line, but the second line, this will get bigger and bigger. So this will not quite work. So this is I have notes here, but I'm largely trying to do this blind just to demonstrate how I would debug this and how I would actually work through it. I plus 2, space here. And just for fun, end line. So this isn't actually going to work the way that I thought, and we can demonstrate it. Make run. I get 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. So 3 times 2 doesn't quite work. 2 times 2, that should be a 4. And then 12 times 2 is obviously not 13, at least not what I remember from many, many, many years ago. So how can we do this? So what is actually going to be changing? So we need 2 bits of information. This first number, or 2 pieces of information. This first number will be the current row we're on. The second number will be the column that we're on. So we can do this with a nested for loop. For int j is equal to 1, j is less than or equal to 12, j plus plus. I'll just put a space there so it looks good. Closing curly brace, and then I go up here and I hit tab. And now, what do? I do I, j, and print out a space. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere here. So I print out ij, multiply ij space. So 1, 1 will be 1 space, 1, and then this will be incremented 2 space. I do that so I get the entire 1. Once I'm done, cout and line. Because I'm done with that line, so I print out a new line, and then this gets incremented. Sounds a little bit more promising. Make run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yep, we get there and we get 12. So 12 times 12 is 144. So cool. So now we got a multiplication table. So here's part of the problem. It kind of looks squished. It doesn't look good. So let's go ahead and fix that. So there was this include IO manip. And we can do what? We can do a width, set W, and we'll just do 5. Let's see. And I think with that, I don't actually need this there anymore. Make run. Cool. Much better looking. So we have enough gaps there, and then we have gaps there because remember, it's going to be 5 characters wide for each of the gaps. And since these are right aligned, it lines up perfectly that way. So now we have a multiplication table. So if I was, what, 5th grade, or I don't remember when we did multiplication tables, but whatever grade I was in, if I could write a program to do this, so much easier. Wouldn't have to write as nearly as much as what I did. Let's see. So this is using nested for loops. Let's make a function for this instead. Void print lines, and we take in int num1, for example, and we can do something similar. Let's see. We can go ahead and just copy this up here. Control X, Control V, Shift Tab, and we can print it out, but we can actually print out the individual line. So we don't need this. So we could get rid of that. Oops. Yeah, my formatting's all messed up. Go ahead and fix this. Let's see. We actually probably want the end line outside of the for loop. And so we have I, and so we could actually do num1 j. Well, actually, this would be I now. And so down here, we could do for int I is equal to 0 or 1. I is less than or equal to 12. I plus plus. And then we can just call print lines I. So we're just breaking it up even more. Let's see if this actually works. And we get the same table. 1 through 12, 1 through 12. And if we randomly check one, 11 times 10 is 110. And so this is the same thing. Is this more efficient? No. But is it easier to read? I would argue yes. You know here that you're doing this 12 times. You know here that you're doing this 12 times. And this is just printing out each individual row. This is just calling the individual calls to this function. Inside of there, you have a function which calls multiply. And that's what actually does the calculations. You could, instead of having your own multiply, you could say num1 times I. That will work as well. It just, if you can make functions for a lot of the stuff, it's generally going to be a better and easier time of your life. So instead of just doing nested for loops in a main function, try to split it out more and make it a little bit more modular. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it was informational and educational. I think I will record one more video, and that video will probably do at least one, maybe 2 Caddis problems, just so you can kind of get a sense of how these should be solved for Caddis and what you should actually do for that. So thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.